Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to pull out the key insights from influential sources. So let's talk about tidying. If you've ever, spent a whole weekend cleaning only to find the clutter creeping back almost immediately, well, you know the feeling, that rebound effect.
It's incredibly common
Yeah,
and frustrating. People often blame themselves, thinking, I'm just a messy person.
right. But today, we're diving into the KonMari method by Marie Kondo. It makes a pretty bold claim.
It really does. It promises that if you follow the method correctly just once, you'll never go back to a cluttered state again, permanently.
Permanently tidy. That's huge. So our mission today is to figure out why this isn't just, another set of cleaning tips, but something more fundamental.
Exactly. And the core idea, according to the sources, is you have to ditch two really common assumptions about tidying.
Okay, but
First, stop trying to tidy just a little bit every day. Forget that. And second, stop organizing room by room or location by location.
interesting. So it's not a gradual habit, it's
Well,
a special event.
precisely. A one-time, intense tidying festival. A marathon effort, not a daily sprint.
Okay, let's unpack that first one. The idea that tidying a little each day is actually bad advice. I mean, that goes against almost everything we hear about building habits, right?
It does seem counterintuitive, but the reasoning is, if you're trying to change deeply ingrained habits you've had for years, trying to do it bit by bit often fails
Why, though?
because you never get that big visible change. If you tidy one drawer today, another shelf tomorrow, the overall impact is minimal. You don't feel the transformation.
Ah, so you lose motivation quickly.
Exactly.
Well-
Without seeing dramatic, tangible results almost immediately, that initial burst of enthusiasm just fizzles out. You need that shock to the system, that feeling of, wow, it's really different, to actually shift your mindset.
You need the big win first.
You need the big win to make the habit stick.
Yeah, and it's fascinating that the sources suggest people aren't failing because they're inherently messy, but because, well, nobody ever really taught us how to tidy properly.
It's true. Think about it. It's not usually taught at home in a structured way, definitely not in schools. So most of us just pick up these sort of conventional methods that don't really work long term.
It's a skill issue, not a personality flaw.
Right. And the data mentioned is quite telling. Something like 25% of the students taking these courses are women in their 50s. People who've been running households for decades but still struggle because they've been using ineffective approaches all along.
Wow. Okay, so what's the biggest ineffective method people fall back on?
Tidying by location, deciding, okay, today I'll tackle the bedroom, or this weekend it's the kitchen.
Seems logical on the surface. What's wrong with that?
The problem is that items of the same type, like books or clothes or maybe toiletries, tend to be stored in multiple places throughout the house.
Ah, okay, so if I tidy the living room bookshelf.
Right, you organize those 10 books,
Mm-hmm.
but you completely miss the fact you have another 20 books of the same kind in the bedroom, 5 in the study, maybe a couple in the kitchen. You never see the whole picture for that category.
So you never actually grasp the total volume of what you own in that category.
Precisely. You're basically tidying blind without understanding the scale of your possessions.
Okay, so the fix is.
Tidying by category,
Mhm.
not location. So today is all clothes. Tomorrow, all books. You gather every single item in that category from everywhere in the house, closets, drawers, under the bed, the garage, and put it all in one big pile.
That sounds overwhelming.
It often is. People are frequently shocked to see they own maybe twice as many clothes or books or whatever than they ever imagined. But that confrontation with the sheer volume is absolutely crucial. It's the necessary first step.
Okay, so we've gathered our mountain of stuff. Now what? The sources say tidying really boils down to just two main tasks, right?
Just two. First, discarding. Second, deciding where to put the things you keep.
And the order matters immensely, I gather.
Critically, discarding must come first, completely.
Yeah.
Finish all the discarding for a category before you even think about storage solutions or where things will fit.
Why is that sequence so rigid?
Because the moment you start thinking, where could I store this? You stop asking the more important question, should I even keep this? Your focus shifts from letting go to organizing, and the discarding process just grinds to a halt.
But hang on, before we even touch the pile, the method says we need to visualize our ideal life. That sounds a bit abstract, maybe like procrastination.
It sounds like it, but it's presented as perhaps the single most important step to prevent rebounding back to clutter. You need a clear, concrete vision of the kind of life you want to live in your space. It has to be more than just, I want it tidy.
Okay, like what? Can you give an example?
Yeah, the book mentions a client who visualized a specifically feminine lifestyle. For her, that meant things like clear floor space, a particular pink bedspread, an antique lamp, having time for yoga and classical music, drinking herbal tea. Very specific details.
Yeah, that is specific. Does that level of detail really matter?
Apparently, yes. Because after you pick that vivid picture, the next step is to dig deeper by asking why. Why do I want clear floors? Why do I want to do yoga? Why that specific lamp?
And you keep asking why. How many times?
About 3 to 5 times for each element of the vision.
Okay, and where does that lead? If you follow that chain of whys.
It usually leads to a very simple core realization.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate reason you want all these things, the whole point of the exercise, is simply to be happy.
Ah, okay. So connecting the tidying effort to your fundamental desire for happiness.
Exactly. And once you've internalized that, you have your ultimate selection criterion.
Which brings us to the famous rule, hold each item and ask.
Does this spark joy?
Yes, that. Seems subjective.
It is subjective, intentionally so.
Yeah.
If the item gives you that little thrill, that feeling of joy, you keep it. If it doesn't, you thank it for its service genuinely, and then you let it go.
Thank you.
Yes, acknowledge its role. And the emphasis is crucial. You are actively choosing what to keep, focusing on surrounding yourself with things that bring joy. It's not about focusing on what to throw away, which can feel negative and draining.
That's a subtle but important shift in focus. Choosing joy versus focusing on elimination.
Right, it makes the process feel more positive.
Okay, and the order we tackle these categories in, it's not random, is it? It's designed to build up our joy spotting skills.
Absolutely. It's a deliberate progression, starting with easier items and moving towards the more emotionally charged ones.
So what's the sequence?
It starts with clothes, generally the easiest because they have lower sentimental value and aren't unique usually, then books, then papers. After that comes kimono, which is a huge category of miscellaneous items.
Kimono, like kitchen gadgets, stationery, electronics, that sort of thing.
Exactly. All the sundries. And then, saved for the very end, are mementos photos, old letters, sentimental objects, the really tough stuff.
Why lust?
Because by the time you get to mementos, you've honed your ability to recognize what sparks joy through hundreds, maybe thousands, of decisions with easier items. Your decision muscle is stronger. If you start with photos, you'll likely get bogged down in emotion and nostalgia and just stop.
Makes sense. Build up the skill. What about things we feel guilty about discarding, like clothes we bought but never wore?
That's addressed directly. The idea is that even an unused item may have fulfilled its purpose. Maybe the thrill of buying it was the purpose. Or maybe wearing it once taught you that style just isn't for you.
Ah, so its service might have been teaching you a lesson.
Exactly. So you can acknowledge that, thank it for the lesson or the initial excitement, and then let it go without the guilt.
Okay, let's get practical. Clothing first. You mentioned gathering every piece.
Every single item, from every closet, every drawer, off-season storage, the laundry bin, everything. Pile it all up, usually on the bed or floor.
And the sources say the average pile of just tops can be like 160 items.
Easily. It's often a real eye-opener for people. Just seeing it all together is powerful.
And then as you sort, there's a specific rule about loungewear.
Yes, a definite taboo. Do not downgrade clothes you don't love into loungewear, or clothes just for wearing around the house.
Why not? Seems practical.
The philosophy is that your time at home is valuable. It's your time. You should spend it wearing things that make you feel good, that spark joy, not things you've essentially rejected for public view. Wearing clothes you don't like, even at home, can subtly undermine your self-image.
Treat your home time with respect, too. Interesting. Okay. Storage. The method pushes folding way more than hanging. Why? Isn't hanging better for preventing wrinkles?
It might be for some items, but hanging takes up a huge amount of space.
Yeah.
The claim is you can fit 20 to 40 folded items in the space needed for maybe 10 hanging ones.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is. But beyond just space efficiency, folding is framed as an act of care. Like you're having a dialogue with the clothing item as you smooth it and fold it. It strengthens your appreciation for it.
A dialogue with my t-shirt.
Okay.
And the other big storage rule, verticality. Never stack.
Never stack. Always store things vertically, standing on edge, whether it's clothes in a drawer, papers in a box, or even vegetables in the fridge, apparently.
What?
2 main reasons. First, you can see everything at a glance. Nothing gets hidden at the bottom of a pile. Second, stacking crushes the items underneath, both physically and sort of energetically. Vertical storage respects each item and makes you constantly aware of the volume you have.
Even for bulky things like sweaters.
Yes, the goal is always to fold them into a compact rectangle that can stand on its edge.
And this respect extends even to socks. I remember reading about not balling them up.
That's right. Socks and stockings have a tough job, right? They're constricted, rubbed, put under pressure all day. The idea is that when they're in the drawer, that's their time to rest and recover.
So rolling them into a ball or tying them is disrespectful.
Essentially, yes, it keeps them in a state of tension. Instead, you should fold or roll them gently and stand them up vertically.
Okay. And a shoebox is the perfect divider for this.
Apparently so. Simple, effective, readily available. Perfect for keeping rolled socks or folded tights standing neatly.
All right, moving on to the dreaded papers category. This seems simpler, but maybe harder in practice.
The rule is incredibly strict here, basically.
Yeah.
Discard everything.
Everything.
Almost. You only keep papers that fall into 3 distinct categories.
Yeah.
1, currently in use or need attention. 2, needed for a limited time, like contracts or warranties. 3, must be kept indefinitely, like legal documents, birth certificates.
And everything else.
Goes. Immediately. No hesitation.
So appliance manuals.
Toss them. You can find almost any manual online instantly.
Credit card statements.
Purpose fulfilled once checked. Discard.
Old seminar materials, those binders we all collect.
Definitely discard. The value was in attending the seminar, the experience.
Yeah.
The binder just sits there, creating clutter and maybe a vague sense of obligation. One person mentioned had nearly 200 files of old seminar notes.
Oof. Okay, ruthless is the word for papers. Now, kimono, the miscellaneous stuff. The anecdotes about stockpiles here are kind of mind-blowing.
They really are. This is where you see anxiety about scarcity manifest. The examples given are pretty extreme. One client had 60 unused toothbrushes.
60. Another had 80 rolls of toilet paper. Someone else had, get this, 20,000 cotton swabs.
20,000. I can't even picture that. That's not preparing, that's hoarding. Motivated by anxiety, surely.
It really highlights the psychology. The irony is, the more people stockpile like this, often the more anxious they feel about potentially running out. It doesn't bring peace of mind, it creates clutter and unease.
So the solution is a massive clear out of the excess.
Yes. Get rid of the stockpile all at once. Keeping only what's needed, knowing where it is, actually reduces the anxiety.
What about gifts? They often come with emotional strings attached, right? Guilt if we don't use or keep something?
True. But the philosophy offers a way to reframe it. The primary purpose of a gift is to be received. It's an expression of the giver's feelings.
Ah, so the act of receiving it fulfills its main purpose. Exactly. The gift has done its job by conveying that thought or affection. Once received, if the item itself doesn't spark joy for you, it's okay to thank it for delivering the message and then let it go, perhaps by donating it. The sentiment was received, even if the object moves on.
That's actually quite freeing. And finally, mementos. Photos, old letters, kids' drawings. The really hard stuff. Left until the absolute end.
Yes, after your spark joy intuition is fully developed.
The argument is that if you'd forget a memory without the memento, maybe it wasn't that important to keep.
That's the provocative idea. Truly precious memories, the ones that shape us, don't vanish just because the physical object is gone. We live in the present. Keep only the mementos that bring you genuine joy right now.
And photos specifically, take them out of albums.
Yes. Remove them from albums or boxes, handle each one individually, and ask the spark joy question. It's slow, deliberate, and forces you to mindfully engage with the past, rather than just keeping stacks of albums unlooked at.
So this whole process, it's clearly not just a weekend chore. It sounds intense, time-consuming, maybe even emotionally draining.
It absolutely is.
Oh.
It requires a significant investment of time and mental energy. But the promised payoff is equally significant.
Which is this click point.
Right. The idea is that as you go through this rigorous process of handling every single item you own and deciding its fate based on joy, you eventually reach a point where you just know, you intuitively feel the exact amount of stuff that's right for you to live happily.
The just right amount.
Exactly. And once you hit that click point, the claim is your relationship with possessions changes fundamentally. You stop accumulating excess, you know what you need, and you never rebound into clutter again.
That's the practical outcome.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it changes more than just our homes. There's a deeper transformation.
Yes. The difficulty people have in discarding things often isn't just about the object itself. It's tied to deeper things clinging to the past or anxiety about the future.
Hey, I might need this someday. Fear.
That's a big one, yes. Fear of uncertainty, fear of lack. So by forcing yourself to confront every single possession, You're actually confronting your past choices, your fears, your hopes.
So the tidying process becomes a massive exercise in decision making.
A very intense one, making hundreds, thousands of these small but meaningful decisions about what sparks joy, what serves you, what you need for your visualized future. It sharpens your overall decision-making ability. People report finding it easier to make clearer choices in their careers, relationships, all aspects of life afterward.
Because they've practiced listening to their inner voice, their intuition, over and over.
Precisely. They've learned what truly matters to them.
That's quite profound. Okay, let's wrap up with that provocative thought for our listeners. Something to chew on.
Right. So building on this idea of our relationship with our things and our space, consider your home itself. The sources suggest asking yourself, do you treat your home and your possessions as allies in your life? Or do they feel like adversaries, things you're constantly battling?
Allies or adversaries?
And one practice suggested is to actually try communicating with your space, saying hello or I'm home when you enter. Thanking items for their work, like your shoes after a long day.
Sounds a bit unusual, but the idea is to foster a sense of partnership.
Exactly. To restore a sense of balance between you, your things, and your living space. The ultimate message seems to be that tidying isn't just about cleaning. It's about putting your house, and by extension, your life in order. And perhaps life truly begins once you've done that.